Nipur, it can't go uncommented. It has to be said. Did you do something with your hair? Like all of it? Or
Give me a second, Lee. I'm not able to connect via my microphones. I'm only able to connect through the computer.
Sure. Take your time. Oh, you know what? Oh, sorry to interrupt. I couldn't hear you. You take your time. I'll harass you when you get connected. Nice. All right. Hey, welcome. Nipur, how's your audio now? How's your microphone now? Are you good? Okay.
No, it's good. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, before we get like officially kicked off, I figure like it's most appropriate to ask, like, what
It was just like a few weeks back. I thought that I'll pull this off, so I shaved my head. That's it. So that was it.
Just like, hey, it only took like 9 years to grow it out before.
I don't know. I find this like a lot comfortable. I found that a lot like time. I personally believe that it requires a lot of time and effort, and I personally can't pull that off that easily. So yeah.
Dude, I preach on. Like yeah, when mine gets like this long, it's like, oh my gosh, it takes like an extra 3 minutes for me to get there, and then I've got to. But yeah, anyway, I know I'm half joking, but actually, but yeah, no, seriously, if I don't know how it's so much time invested. It's nice. Okay, good. I'm getting used to the new Nupur. So this is the efficient, like streamlined Nupur. It's good. Good. All right, fair enough. Hey, welcome everybody. We're about 4 minutes after, so we may as well get to chatting. We don't have a super jam-packed agenda, but somehow either between me not being able to stop talking or just interesting topics coming up, we tend to have a bunch of stuff to talk about. So let's get going. It's Friday, 2nd of October. So we just had our first Hacktoberfest Meetup yesterday. So we'll have a few more of those this month. On every Thursday we will. Couple of housekeeping items. We record these calls and post them on YouTube because what we talk about is so interesting. Lots of people want to come back to watch it. You'd be surprised, actually. People do watch these things, which is nice. What else? Do we have anyone? So yeah, housekeeping, we do the recordings. We have a number of people that have joined this week, which is fantastic. It seems like word is getting around that there are some nice people that spend time here. And so more and more people keep joining, which is great. It's been really nice to see that people have been joining from different regions of the world. Even including the West Coast. So Clement, yeah, good. So actually just a couple of random thoughts, I suppose. So I talked about, one of those thoughts before we get going any further is, is anybody new here that hasn't been on this call before? Anybody that hasn't had a chance to, anyone that hasn't had a chance to introduce before? Because this is your moment. This is your 15 seconds of fame. I'm going to embarrass myself and maybe risk embarrassing Sudhakar. Have you had a chance to introduce before? I just can't remember.
Hey, hi, Lee.
Good
Am I
evening.
audible?
You are.
Yeah. So actually, I was part of this community, but now I'm not active from last 2-3 months. So I thought to join again. My name is there, Sagar Utekar.
Nice. Oh, nice, nice. Okay, yeah, very good. Yeah, I mean, once you get a taste of a good thing, like you've got to come back at some point. So good.
Yeah.
Good, cool. Well, refresh if you would, just maybe for everyone else. There's some new folks here who maybe haven't had the pleasure. Yeah, just a quick introduction if you would.
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone. My name is Sagar Utekar. I'm from India, and I love contributing to different open source projects. I work on mainly in cloud and DevOps domain. I have good experience with the Node.js and Python, and I've started learning Golang because most of the open source projects in Golang, and I want to contribute to Meshi. So, and yeah, that's it.
Nice. Yeah. And actually, Sagar, now that I see your yeah, yeah, you'd been helpful with respect to some of the internship programs that we engage in. So the GSOC, I think, was one of the topics we had touched on last time. Nice, good. All right. This is also an appropriate time to make a call for topics. If anyone has a question, a topic, could be specifically on one of the projects that is within this community specifically, or since this is a broad community call about meshy things, about Docker and Kubernetes and cloud native and service mesh things, if you've just got an interesting share, this is the call for that. Something that you learned, maybe if your name is Ruth and you have early access to code spaces, maybe you want to show that or something. So just a good way of helping everybody keep up to speed on things that are going on. Toss the topic in and we'll cover it. All right, good. Well, hey, just a brief word on, yep, go ahead.
One question. I got a bunch of links that I've yet to probe through all of them, but do we have usernames and passwords, or are they just wide open, or what's the deal there?
Yes, say more. Usernames and passwords in the Meshery project or in
Layer5 and Meshery, which is Layer5 under Meshery or over it?
Over it. Yep. Layer5, kind of the umbrella for Meshery, service mesh performance, image hub.
I see. Yeah, and we got last meeting was it yesterday or the day before? There was a whole bunch of I saw a whole bunch of bookmarks which I captured, and I was just wondering, are they just open, read only, and once, yeah.
Oh yeah, fantastic question. If I think so there's a number of, so yeah, within the Layer5 community, there's, well, a few different resources. And we've chosen to use some forms of communication and not others, for example. So we haven't been, not like we're opposed to it, but just as an example, we haven't been big on mailing lists. And that's because we do so much Slacking that we sort of, anyway, that doesn't mean that there are other resources out there. We make pretty heavy use of Google Drive and Google Docs. And this is actually a good time, both for, I think, for Stephen but for the rest of the folks on the call. If you pull up drive.google.com, and if you do not see a Layer5 community drive, then we've done you wrong, or you haven't been fully brought in. Like, everyone here should have read-write access to this drive. I think the way that everyone gets onboarded, you might not be able to delete a file, but you can create new files and full edit on any of the files here. The file, so, and Stephen, this is in part like what you were referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, I stopped to check before I.
It's in part, yeah, but I also see web URLs like layer5.io and these types of things. And I'm able to read only browse all the way through those, or
Yeah.
but they're both valid questions.
Oh yeah, no, these are great. Actually, these are good questions for the. So the only reason I'm stumbling for a moment is just to make sure I'm answering the right one. So as I'm describing this, the resources here, it may or may not, let me know if it speaks to the layer5.io stuff as well, which is to say, yep, so we try to do this community, this similar, but also a bit differentiated from some others. It's not that this is the only community that uses, open source community that uses Google Drive, but we use it, but people get invited to it fairly quickly. And it's in part because the hope is that one, they feel that people just feel engaged and encouraged to like have some buy-in and sense of ownership over the docs and things that are in here. Two, that an example was, as an example from yesterday was VJ had given a presentation about like an introduction to contributing to Meshery, and he'd used this deck as a resource to pull a couple of images from. So the reason I'm giving that as an example is to say these resources, all of these files, the logos for the projects, I don't know, the way that we're thinking about designing the SMP site, for example, that's like one, like that project. All of those they're not mine, or rather they are, it's just a shared thing for the community to take and use and leverage as you will, add to it or make changes. And there's a couple of things. There's, a lot of it's Google Docs and design. Some of it's slides. There's some presentation templates to the extent that somebody's speaking at a conference or at a meetup or just at work or what have you, that if they want to talk about some of the tech here, they're kind of pre-templated slides that you can go take and use. And there's a couple of reports. I'm thinking of some of the different resources that are in here. So there's different analyst firms like Forrester and Gartner and 451 and others. Some of the works that are done here get mentioned in those reports. There's actually, and so there's a copy of a Forrester one. There's one that was just done from a smaller group called Amalgam. And I don't think that we've put a copy of that report in here, and we should, because everyone should take some pride in the fact that there are research analysts out there really paying attention to what you guys are doing, and they're speaking about it. The research is to be advice for corporations on what tools to use. That's actually a good point for me to go make sure.
What was that company? Did you say Algorithmia, or are you talking about like Forrester or something like that?
Yep, this one is there is a Forrester one in there. This one is Amalgam.
Amalgam.
Yeah, it should be this spelling. As a matter of fact, if someone else, later on in this call, when someone else is talking, I'll go grab that report and share it, and it'll have so there's kind of, this Forrester one I think is in there. If you don't, I would say this. I mean, Stephen, this is a great question. Like in general, there's a ton of resources, and for the most part, we want to enable you guys with whatever I get my hands on or others. And so Amalgam. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's Amalgam Research or I'll go find it.
It means a lot of things.
Yeah. You mean a lot of things inside of, oh, amalgam? Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty pad.
Like Google. Yeah.
And then,
Something
so
about
it's like all the layer 5 IO assets, kind of what makes up that site are both available freely in GitHub, and then some of the source image files and things, like you might rasterize them and put them on the site. So some of the source images are just back in the folders here, but they are, very much so available to all of you. There's some things.
.org.
There's a couple of things on the Layer 5 IO site, actually, for people that haven't seen them. They're free, and they're kind of I think they're worth checking out. It's like, there's a workshop that we had given. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about workshops here in a minute, but we'd given one that has been changing over the last couple of years, and it had been sort of this intro to service meshes, but taking people through Istio using Meshery. And so there's a Layer 5 IO /workshops. If you were to go to the labs for really any of these, for the most part today, they'll take you to this self-paced workshop that is a lot of the same material that we will use when we deliver paid training through O'Reilly. And so actually there's some pretty good, decent content here that I don't, it's not horrifically well known. Yeah. Stephen, does that kind of get at, that might not have answered it all, but does that kind of get at the root of what you were asking?
Yeah, and I'll get there. It's not fair for me to ask questions when I haven't actually tried.
Sure. But yeah, if you don't have, if you find a link and it's like you don't have access, that's probably not intentional. So,
That's great.
Fair enough. One of the first topics we had up, did someone want to speak about the Hacktoberfest activities that are going on in the community?
Yeah, so I have already applied for 8th of October event and it got approved right now. I'll just make a pull request and update the link for the new Hacktoberfest Meetup. And this time we are planning, I just talked with Shriti probably, that we are going to have a Golang 101 and some other stuff. So yes, that's all.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Let me recap that. And that's to say that October is the month of Hacktoberfest, which is a fairly popular, it's not an event per se. There's many hundreds of events that organizations like Layer 5 will hold to help, more or less, well, whether people are newcomers in general or not, just people that want to contribute to different open source projects. DigitalOcean and I guess Intel and Dev this year, they, if you go make 4 pull requests really on any open source project for the month of October, you can have a tree planted or get a t-shirt. And so Layer 5 has participated the last year or two, and Pratik is, and Shriti and Ruth and others on the Thursday call, on the newcomers call. We're using that Thursday call as a Hacktoberfest meetup for each Thursday of this month. And so if you've been spending time in any of the projects on the issues, you'll notice a lot of them are tagged with the Hacktoberfest label. Those that we consider that people might be able to pick up. We generally have an influx of new contributors kind of during this month, in part because of that. There's a lot of folks that will kind of do a drive-by contribution, if that makes sense. And so that was in part what Pratik was saying. The other thing that Pratik was saying is Well, I guess.
So we have a list of tutorials set up, the Hacktoberfest Meetups, and there'll soon be a list up somewhere. There's already a card for Octoberfest up. You can go look at it. You can also fill up the questionnaire. In the last call, we had a tutorial by Vijay, who is one of our meshmates. He did a tutorial on running Meshtree and setting up Meshtree CTL and working with it. There'll be similar tutorials. I think Nupur is doing one for the next meetup. Looking forward to it. And yep, that's it. So please do attend the next meetings. You'll learn something. You might even give a tutorial for us.
So speaking of tutorials, there's a questionnaire out there that asks for input on what tutorials people would like to see. This questionnaire is available on Layer5.io under programs, under Hacktoberfest. There's been a few people filling this in. We are trying to line up the tutorials over the next few weeks, or I'm sorry, not over the next few weeks, but one per week on Thursdays. And Nupur, do you want to talk about next week's tutorial?
Yeah, sure. Like today I was investing my time to figure out the things that I would like to talk in the next tutorial. So yeah, I am planning we're planning a 101 Golang 101 by giving examples of Meshtree CTL, and I'll also give an quite insight, or like not going quite deep into the coding part of it, but yeah, overall structure or how to approach with Golang, as I call myself a beginner only in Golang. So yeah, I'll be giving Golang 101 with Meshtree CTL introduction. So that will help you to understand Golang and contribute more in Meshtree CTL as well. So yeah, that's my idea towards it. Tell me if it's right or if I'm on the right track or not.
Totally. That's a perfect thing to do, Nupur. I mean, not only do a lot of people desire to get into Golang and ask about that as they join, but also the component Meshtree CTL, the command line client that you're choosing to introduce people to, that's a perfect one to do because it's smaller in nature. It's easier to just understand. So nice. Anybody on the call interested in that? I'm curious. Anybody looking to get their feet wet in Golang?
Yeah, I love to learn Golang. I think my first project I was supposed to contribute to, I couldn't do that because it was so I'd love to join the tutorial.
Awesome. Nice. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I would too, but I'm a total beginner. I have it. I have all the extensions installed in Visual Studio Code. And I downloaded and installed the Go language. It's in my username home directory, and that's it.
You were perfectly. So that's a great. Actually, it sounds like Steven's perfectly positioned. Nupur, are there any like prereqs that you might suggest to people kind of in advance of Thursday, like installing Go?
Maybe the installation of Golang, like at least they have the basic Golang installed in their system. So yeah, that would be helpful so that we don't invest much time in the installation process. So that will be a nice prerequisite if people have it on their machines. Otherwise, like, we can do it on other platforms for coding, but yeah, if it's in their machine, so it will be helpful for them. Not a necessity, but like good to have.
Golang is Go, right?
Right. Same exact. Yep.
Yeah, right. We call it like Go language and lang.
Go language. It's Go. Is it part of, or is it the same thing?
Exactly.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
I thought so, but it could also be a very stupid question.
No, I mean, that's not the thing. Is that's not
Definitely
the case.
Not. We all have been there where we confuse. Oh, is Golang different from Go, or is it a part
Yeah.
course? So we
Right.
all have been there. So that's.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Shriti, can we toss your name in here too? Are you gonna?
Sure.
Oh, nice. Good deal. Well, the customers are lining up, Nupur. We just, I'll take 20% off the ticket price. Awesome. Good deal. I'm looking forward to that. And I guess this is the appropriate time to go ahead and just highlight again the notion that that if you have an opinion about other tutorials that you'd like to see, pop into this questionnaire and fill it out. Better yet, I mean, certainly do that, but better yet, maybe go share this questionnaire with others. So if you're a social animal, because we want to try to get as much mileage out of those as possible. All right. Anybody have any other comments on Hacktoberfest, the newcomers call, Golang tutorial?
Really, do you think that it's a good idea to publish a post in Dev2?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Do you mean, yeah? Do you mean with respect to the questionnaire, or do you just mean in? It's kind of yes.
Yeah, an entry same that we have in our programs card, but for Dev2, so we can reach more people.
Totally. Yeah. Have you posted there before, Jesus?
Yeah, I can do that. I just need your review from Shirley, because I need a editorial review. So I
I
can.
just connected on that PR, Jesus. And it's Shruti, if you are looking for the pronunciation.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. I just connected on that PR.
Oh yes, yes,
Just
I
to
am. Yes, I am. I am doing the updates now. But yes, do you think that you can review and you can do a editorial review in a Dev2 post?
Yeah, sure. Sure, I can do
Okay,
that.
perfect. So let's do that, and I will share with you the draft so you can review that. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, Jesus, that gives me an opportunity to, well, highlight in part one of the things that maybe that Stephen was bringing up a bit, and that is that one of the Google Docs that's inside the shared drive that everyone has access to. There's a Google Sheet. There's a Google Sheet that tracks, well, we call it the content calendar, I guess. And it tracks some of the activities that we do that we end up being social about. So a good example is Dev. I don't think he's on today, but he had shared on a project called Buff. And what was nice, we were considering maybe we should use that project. Anyway, he did a presentation, he put some time and effort into it, he made some slides. And so he filled in a line item here on the content calendar so that we can go promote his good works, go publish those and kind of be social about them. So I'll highlight that if you're, so Nupur, like, hey, like probably the same thing, we would be following up kind of quickly to say, that was good. I'm assuming it'll be good stuff. It's probably something we'll want to post and let people know about. And so for just, hey, yeah.
What shared drive? I'm in the Layer5 community looking at the subdirectories and the children subdirectories. Where exactly would you find something like the document that you're highlighting?
Totally great. Under the, I think top level, it's the community folder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I think just in the community folder itself, it's a spreadsheet content calendar, should be.
On the community folder itself. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. There's a lot of files there. I'm sure I'll find it. but I'm in the right area.
Nice. Yeah, good.
Subdirectories also, and files in the root folder.
Yeah,
I'll look around.
okay. Yeah, if you don't find it, let me know. We restructured that kind of recently because there's just a lot. There's a lot, and like as new projects come up, there's kind of the other thing that the content calendar tracks is the fact that we do meetups. And so Jesus, actually, this is kind of a good thing to mention to you specifically as you go to organize meetups as well. To the extent that they are that the sessions are telling people about or encouraging them to participate in the projects here, then we would want to do what we can to promote those.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah,
okay, so community posting and Docker hosting. Okay. In events, we can also add the course event, right?
ooh, say it again. I missed what you said.
In the event sections, we can also add the course.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See, that's perfect. So
Okay.
by the way, everyone, I don't know if you're aware, but Jesus is, well, he's hosting a workshop at an upcoming open source conference in Mexico. And that's an event that we are participating in. And so, yeah, Jesus, we're missing a card. We should have a card for that.
Okay, perfect. Just let me do the prereqs.
Nice. And yeah, that's a great point that like in this content calendar, I don't know that it's in here, Jesus, which is bad. Or no, here it is. It's here. But yeah, we should absolutely be promoting the thing that you're working on. So
Perfect.
cool. Okay. Well, with all of that said, looks like Josh, we have a topic on this issue.
So like it's not topic exactly, like it's a progress showcase or something like that. Like I've been working on building the Meshery page for the new generation website. So like I'll just showcase what I have achieved till now.
Good. I'm drooling. Just for frame of reference for everyone. So this is the current page that highlights Meshery. The Meshery project itself has its own dedicated site. There's a page here that also describes Meshery. And so Josh and many others have been working on, well, a new version of this site entirely. And so Josh, let me stop sharing. If I can find the button.
Yeah.
If I can't find the button. Yeah, if you can share and bump me off, that would be great. Stop
So
laughing
it's
at me.
showing like you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
Of course. So yeah, go ahead. Eat it up, Nipur. Go ahead. I swear all right, hold on. Stop share. Good deal.
Okay, so like is my screen visible?
It is.
So like before moving, I'll just ask for like pardon me for the alignments or styles. Like it's just a basic template layout, and like only half of it has been just transferred yet. So like I would so the things that I'm trying to use more and more of sections that are already present within the template. And one of the major section is the features section that we'll be using in the Meshery page.
and along with that we can use counters like if it suits well, and few more things that will be coming up for the yeah, so like that will be coming up for the FAQs and the installation and all parts. So like uh, it is just like beginning for the building up of Meshi page. So like any feedback for the like layout or something like that is very much welcome. And the 16K plus is a dummy data. This one is the original, the 1111 plus performance tests run.
Jesh, I don't know what have been the previous discussion about the page, but can you like scroll up to the top? Scroll down. Yeah. Yeah, like the beginning of the page. Can you? Yeah. So I see a lot of white space here. So is this intentional? Like between the meshery and the statistics here, there is a quite a lot of padding. So is it intentional here or to give a
Yeah,
space
so
or?
it is intentional because there are a few things that will be like a subtitle or a catchy line or something, a single line to describe a meshery or something like that data has to be put on. So like that has to be decided. So that's intentional for now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, then it's perfect. Okay.
I still, yeah, so I like even I do find it's like very much incomplete in terms, but I thought like if we can get some initial feedback, then it can be like uh, tackled as soon as possible. So
This is more a meta question, but do Mesh3 / Layer5 sites have kind of dedicated style guide when you make front end changes?
What's your web engine and your languages? Are you using like Python inside of Apache, or is it just I
Yep,
don't know.
totally. Yeah, but I'm doing my damnedest not to speak. It's really hard for me. I have so much feedback for you, Josh. This is awesome. I'm so pleased that you're taking this on. Also, just like kudos to you for putting it out there half done. Like that's what a perfect thing to do. You'll be able to incorporate the feedback without having to do a ton, like if there is rework involved in the feedback or not. Moreover, just being consistent and showing work in progress as you go. It's a great muscle to build. It'll give you a bit thicker skin. I don't know. It's so many good things about it. Stephen, great question. In this particular case, the current site, if you visit layer5.io today, it's a statically generated site that that uses Jekyll to build the site. A lot of it's there's a fair bit of markdown in there, HTML and some CSS. Not too much JavaScript on the Layer5.io site. This new version that Josh is showing here, it overall is like it's maybe a little over halfway done. I think it's based on Gatsby, the React-based, React.js-based, like sort of a new. Well, I don't know. I think if you take Gatsby, and we're intending to take Strappy as well, Strappy.io. I think the combination of those two, it's kind of a new age WordPress, if you will. But I think that might be a little bit more scalable, a little more interesting than WordPress potentially. And then Clement, great question. So Clement, like part of what you were curious about is like, well, hey, what color, what's the style guide, or like what colors are supposed to be used, or is there supposed to be space, or isn't there? Or like, what is this just, being made up as we go? There is, boy, that's been a burning question. There's a link that's in the chat right now that I think that link, geez, now that I say it, like, I'm pretty sure it's inside of the shared folder. And if it isn't, then we'll just go put it there. It's a style guide.
The step above doesn't come in. The one that at Clement or at Streeting, that docs Google presentation, blah, 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 blah. I need to request access, so I'm doing that, but that's the link you're talking about.
I don't have access either, it seems.
I'm taking a look now because we.
Oh, and even the last link, the basic layer 5 content form, I don't have access.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, both of these are our mistakes then. Like this style guide, I'm moving it right now over to the shared drive. That's my fault. I had it when I created it hurriedly a little while ago. So this one probably goes under websites, logos, and assets is probably where I'll go ahead and land this style guide now. So it just moved just now. If you guys try to access that last link again, and I'm sure at the same time, Shriti is probably moving the content form to the community drive as well.
Yep, these settings have been changed. Try again. You'll be able to access it.
Yep, style guide's up, and
content form. So this is the style guide. Isn't the end all be all. This is something of it's almost appropriately called a brand style guide. So it's intended to speak to who it is that we're hoping will use the projects, a little bit about our culture, a little bit about, and then it starts to get fairly specific on a few things. It gets specific on what font we use and the style of the font that we use, the logos that are available for the projects, and a little bit of rules about what you're supposed to be able to do with those and what you're not supposed to be able to do with those. It gets fairly specific about colors. I would say that this is like 2/3 of the way done. Even this slide on the right-hand side, except for the red color, these are accurate. Like that's the color scheme that we're using for the community and the projects. So this is about halfway there. Anyone is welcome to weigh in and suggest some changes. There's an adjoining guide, or like there's an amendum to this that needs to be done. And it would need to be, it's more of like a web, more of a design language guide, more of like, hey, if you were a user experience engineer, that there would be a lot more content in here about like the type of menus that are used, or the type of buttons that use, what interactions they have, and just all the different components. And not that we would need to put all of our web-based components into slides, but just a number of them would need to be spoken to about like, hey, this is how we notify the user. This is how we use toaster notifications and why we use them for these things, not for that, or what, like a lot of that I just said, it's not in here. And that's needed, because as any one of you go to update the Meshry UI as an example, or any of the projects, that we're going to want to be consistent, because that's how people come to understand the projects and feel good about using them. That's how they become intuitive. I've talked to a few of you recently about consistency being synonymous with quality. which is something to think about. I think the example that I would give is like in the US, if you go to McDonald's on the East Coast, you get a taste of the burger. You go to it on the West Coast, it's almost precisely the exact same taste. You might not like it, but it was consistent, so it's high quality. Now you wouldn't go to India and pick up a beef hamburger at McDonald's, but anyway, that's not the point. Anyway, so consistency, but that through that consistency, it also becomes intuitive. Like once people have had that interaction for the first time, they know what to expect next time they see something. And so, great question, Clement. It's a work in progress. If you've got any opinions and feedback, it's not that you. The request here is to do those, or I mean, like, don't just talk about it on the side. Like, get in there and, you know. So good. So part of this too is that there's a suite of, or there's a growing set of icons. So there's clearly like project logos that are available, and the source is available, and we talk about the logos and how they're used. And yeah, Josh, if you would, yeah, this isn't the most beautiful layout, but there's a number of projects with logos. And then beyond that, though, we really need to begin to build up something of a icon set, icons for provisioning a service mesh, or for doing whatever the action is.
I will like to contribute in that part. If there is something that I can do with logo, make it something that is up for to be done, so I could take it up that work, because I would like to be active in the community. So easy way to start and get into it. So yeah.
Nice. Nupur, there's so Shriti has one thing to describe. It's not exactly a logo. That said, there's tons of product icons. I don't mean product icons. There's tons of like UX icons to either create or massage from a set. But there's another thing, like, hey, we've been doing this community for a year and a half or so. There's actually a lot of photos of either some of you speaking or presenting or getting a full-time job, or like getting a book, or like all kinds of stuff. We've got a lot of photos and snapshots and screenshots and things of those. And it'd be really, there's a collection of them in a folder. I don't know if this is up your alley or not, Nupur, but it'd be nice to have a little bit, something of a collage of those on the website, like the Layer5io/community page. So think about it. If it's of interest, ping Shriti, because she'll point it out.
Yeah, I'll get in touch with Srishti and we'll figure it out. So, sure. We'll take it out.
Okay.
It's like I'm just Lee, you said you had a lot of feedback, so like, can you just or we'll be moving on to Slack?
Yeah, well, actually, this is for you, and maybe a call to anyone else who wants to get their JavaScript on, just a little bit of JavaScript. And it's, I don't know if it's my OCD or some other quirk that I have, but you see where we have the 1,100 performance tests. And if you note, like, the only thing that I can see in that number, it's not that it's nice and high and that we have people using Meshry, it's that it's missing a comma in the 1,000th place. That's all I can see. Now, that same number, if you go to Layer5io, right there, or you go to Meshry.io, or actually if you go to SMPspec.io, oh, wait a second, what the heck? How did that comma get in there? Was that a recent, Josh, do you know? I didn't even see that. Somebody contributed a comma. That's.
Is the underline also like?
It's intentional. Yeah, the underline was kind of intentional to like anymore. It's probably the wrong thing to do.
Focus on it.
So maybe the call to action here is not needed. I was going to say there's a small bit of JavaScript to take that number and insert a comma. That number is dynamically loaded from a public-facing REST endpoint.
Yeah. I saw it. It's an Ajax API call. Yeah.
And since we use it across 3 different sites, it's like it would be worthwhile to mark it up. And now maybe looks like someone already did this. So Josh, do you know, has that been done? If you go to meshry.io or smpspec.io? Okay.
No.
You can tell how bad this bugs me because I'm making all of you spend commas. Anyway, it looks like someone took up the challenge and did that on Layer5.io. So if anybody wants to propagate that to the other 2 sites, you're most welcome to it. Moving on, yeah, Josh, that was one of the, I think that it's like, just like any PowerPoint presentation where someone finds out, the first time that they find out that they can use animations, they usually abuse the animations and end up detracting from their presentation. But not using any animations at all makes it kind of a boring thing. So what I was going to highlight is that the animation that we have for loading those numbers is about middle of the line in terms of its subtlety. It's nice. I'm glad that you pulled in, that you've got actual numbers to work with. That's great. It might be that another, like one of the other maybe impressive numbers here is like how many service meshes are supported. That might be a different one because there aren't.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a provision of like four values. So like I just pulled it off to 2 because I thought one would be performance test and the other one would be like yeah, something related to the like the service meshes or the user or something like that.
Yeah. You know what? We do have we are kind of tracking the count of users. So just for everyone, there's about, there's a little over 500 people that have used Meshry, just as a random factoid, but those that authenticate and sign in, we track the authentication count. So could be interesting. Josh, if you scroll down a little, I know it's totally a work in progress. So the bones of it are pretty fantastic. Let me ask this of everyone that's on the call, because this is easy enough for everyone to have an opinion. Do you see right here where it says features, and then it has the other 2 lines? Do you feel like features is unnecessary, or do you feel like it helps clarify that you're looking at a different section?
Definition or something might be better than features because aren't you defining what Meshry is?
Yeah, and what capabilities it affords you.
Yeah.
What functionality it has.
I don't know. It's one and the same, I guess.
Very good. Josh, if you keep scrolling a little bit. And by the way, please, anyone that has an opinion, please interrupt. But yeah, Josh, is that keep going? I mean, that looks pretty great. This is not, I mean, it's nice we have some, one of the things that I'll challenge all of us to do, for anyone who weighs in here, is to be pithy, to be brief, because people like myself are very lazy and don't want to read words. So this is one of those areas where, like an animated GIF, might be nice to be able to show some of the features in action. So I can help there.
Yeah, so I was just about to poke your city for like some revamping of data or the text. I thought so, like, and
Totally.
if we could have some, as we have in the SMP spec currently, some animations or something over here, so it would be like very good.
One thing that bugs me about this, I don't know if it probably doesn't stand out to anyone else, but the architecture diagram, I love that we ended up, and I think this is a problem on the current site, we ended up using an SVG to represent the diagram, which is nice because it scales without pixelation. What it doesn't do though is retain the font. Open Sans is the font that we use. Or at least it doesn't do it for the labels, Docker or Kubernetes and Service Mesh. I don't know if that's something that we can manipulate or not. It looks like the other fonts are, made it.
So I don't have much knowledge about the architecture, but like I just knew that there was a recent change, like Envoy was you like employed to like load balancing, and like I just made a few blog posts regarding that. So I just by the way, I also read it. So like, is there any change in the architecture as well?
There's a slight one. We need to put the SMP and the SMI logo over the Meshery adapters. There's a gentleman in the community who's been updating those. He just made a couple of pull requests. He's not on the call, and I can't say his first name because I don't know how to. It's actually LOL Party is his is his handle. Yeah, Josh, connect with me after, and we'll make sure you guys.
Yeah.
Josh, I just remembered. So I have miles of feedback to give you, and some of which, before I even make it there to giving you, you will have taken care of by the time that I offer it up. So maybe I'll withhold. I did want to say that kudos to a few of you in the community. There's I know that there are at least 2 KubeCon talks that members in the community here will be giving on these projects. So that's great. I don't think that I didn't have the links handy, so I didn't put them. The OpenStack had been rebranded to Open Infrastructure a year ago. And so we're talking there as well about Meshery. There's a Service Mesh Con has its call for papers closing on Monday. If you want to talk at Service Mesh Con, I'll talk with you, or really anywhere that you'd like to go talk. I don't need to talk with you. Rather, if you're uncomfortable and you either want a review of your submission, or you'd like to co-present, or you'd like to present, but you just need help with like practice or some slides or what have you, like, hey, I'm always game for helping. There's a second edition of this free book that most of you will have seen before. It had a different cover. O'Reilly's coming out with kind of a new style. So it's updated. It talks, well, actually, you know what? The book talks about your projects. Talks a lot about Meshery. Talks about the landscape. It talks about SMP. It talks about a lot of other stuff too, but so I'll make sure that when it does come out, we'll probably get some physical copies out to some people, but I'll make sure everybody has at least a digital copy so you can puff your chest and take pride in seeing your work in there. There's another book that's in flight. It might be interesting to folks, for all of you, to see what the chapter outline looks like. And I misspeak a little bit when I say that this is the chapter outline. There's actually 2 books that are lining up. So one is Service Mesh Patterns, of which it would have about 30 chapters, so about 30 patterns. And then there's a second book after that would be like Advanced Service Mesh Patterns. And this spreadsheet has all 60-ish. So to the extent that it's of interest. Here's what we think patterns of use are, patterns of deployment, patterns of configuration. So that's that. And then there are a couple of you that are on the call right now who are going to be assisting in delivering training through O'Reilly. So this one's on Linkerd, and these two are on Istio. And I know that this is totally boring to some of you, but it's also a point of interest to others. There's generally a lot going on between books and training and talking and things. Please signal if these things are of interest, because there's really so much more of it. We get asked to talk so often, like it just spills off the plate. I would so much rather that they didn't spill off the plate, but that any one of you are up on stage. Speaking for myself personally, any one of you that has put in any amount of time here, I want to see you do well, and I'd so much rather that you were on stage than me. So we're over time. Any comments from anybody else? I think we're. Other than just if anyone wanted to give another compliment to Nipur's haircut, I think okay. All right, we'll stop before I get in trouble.
Looks good. I'm excited to learn about these things because they're fresh and new and weren't taught in school, and it's a great deal. Thank you.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you all. Yeah, see you guys next week. See you shortly.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.